With global prices of raw materials rising, interest rates are going up around the world as governments attempt to stem rising inflation. The U.S. Federal Reserve will meet to decide their interest policy in the early hours of Thursday, Taiwan time. Economic experts say that with inflation on the rise, hikes in interest are a global trend, and Taiwan might join the bandwagon.
World-famous Taiwanese-American economist Richard Koo appears in a video call to share his thoughts on the state of the world post-COVID, plus challenges for U.S.-China relations. But many are more interested in acute price rises of oil and other global commodities. The U.S. Fed meets to decide its policy this week.
If the U.S. and Taiwan both raise interest rates and the trade deficit expands, then, for instance, some hot money might flow out of Taiwan back to the U.S. That would, of course, have some rather harmful effects on Taiwan's stock market and property market. If interest rates start rising worldwide, it will be hard for Taiwan to resist raising them, too.
The central bank has named 3 key factors relevant to any hike to interest: the interest rates of other nations, changes in the consumer price index, and Taiwan's economic recovery. But growing inflation pressure has already precipitated interest hikes in many countries, including Russia, South Korea, Brazil, Singapore, and New Zealand. The inflation situation has set off a rising tide of interest.
As we are in an atmosphere of inflation, many countries are raising their interest rates. It's popular because raising interest is the way to fight back against inflation.
Consumers in Taiwan are already feeling the effect of rising commodity prices. Now there's inflation on the cards too. The U.S. Fed says it wants to reduce monetary stimulus and is expected to roll back on federal debt. The global economy may also be impacted by a strategy meeting at the Bank of England later this week.
The U.S. is also acting quite cautiously because raising interest rates is an incredible thing. It punctures rising commodity prices. An economic bubble is such a handful. You may find you cut down half your balance sheet and then just pay it out again.
Puncturing an economic bubble can lead to recession, not for the faint of heart. An interest hike would hit the property market, sending hot money overseas and potentially rocking stocks. That's not necessarily a more appealing prospect than the inflation it's supposed to rein in.